Well guys, as promised, as a follow-up to Sonic Mania, it's time to finally review Sonic Forces. Oh boy. Yeah, I gotta tell ya, what started off as sheer optimism really started to decline when, before I even got the game in my hands, you guys were sending me notes and messages on Discord about how south things were starting to go. Oh my goodness. And yeah, when Mighty Number 9 of all people, of all characters, is coming out of the woodwork to bash your launch day for your game, clearly something is up. Something went down and it's not pretty. So now going in, it was no longer a question to me that this was going to be a bad Sonic game, but just how bad are we talking here? Are we talking mediocrity, where it's okay but just nothing to write home about? Or are we calling upon Pandora once again to show herself just to see what surprises she had left in the box? Either way, it looked bad. Well, without any further waiting, it's time to play Sonic Forces.
So, as I thought out, it turns out this game was indeed a follow-up to Sonic Mania, which may or may not have been a secret, but I felt clever in figuring it out for myself. Don't judge me. And also, admittedly, over the course of waiting for both of these games when they were both announced at that big Sonic extravaganza, I had high hopes all around because it felt like Sonic Team really had some footing on what people wanted. We were getting Sonic Mania, a game that we asked for what felt like an eternity, and a new Sonic game starring the modern Sonic and not this guy. But what was better is that they announced that it was going to be done by the crew that handled Sonic Colors and Sonic Generations. Which, hey, that brought in a ton of hype all on its own. Say what you will, but after the non-stop release of mediocre to downright terrible Sonic games, these two right here were at the time a big step up in the right direction that felt fresh and innovative and downright great games. Albeit Generations was short as hell, but beyond that, the games were fun as hell. Heck, some of you guys might remember Sonic Colors was actually our first game review. Wow, that was a different time.
Still, I think it's safe to say that my hopes were still really more towards Sonic Mania. I mean, no doubt I was definitely glad to see modern Sonic once again, but the problem with that is there really was no efficient way to tell whether or not a new modern Sonic game was going to be good without actually playing it yourself to see. You know what I'm saying? And now that it is finally out, god dang, I am just straight up puzzled as to what my true feelings are about this whole game. I mean, talk about being torn in different directions. This game just confuses the hell out of me.
Before you even go into the game, it's pretty clear what the main gimmick is. It's about creating your own original Sonic fan character through a few species choices: a bear, a bird, a cat, a dog, a rabbit, a wolf, and of course, a hedgehog. All of which share similar looks, but do offer their own minimal uniqueness, which, to be honest, doesn't influence the game in any big way, or much of a way that's really worth talking about much. To put it simply, for example, the wolf is able to draw in rings easier, and the cat can keep one ring after suffering damage, you know, things like that. According to sources I found, apparently this game was in development since 2013, when Sonic Lost World was in its prime. And, my god guys, if that is true, there is nothing to show for that lengthy development period. The story starts off with Dr. Eggman essentially conquering the world with his new friend Infinite, who's rocking a mask and a brooding attitude, powered up with the Phantom Ruby taken straight out of Sonic Mania. I'm just gonna come out and say it. Beyond the first couple of appearances with this guy, there's really not much to him. If you download the free Shadow the Hedgehog DLC, you learn that he was just some no-name villain who Shadow laid out pretty quickly in a scuffle, and is now disgusted by his own fear and defeat, and now he broods and he's his own monster, and oh, cry me a friggin' river. Anyway, Sonic comes in to save the day, but is caught off guard by Infinite's power, which allows him to bring back Sonic's greatest foes, who then proceed to beat the living hell out of him, and then we apparently jump forward in time. News comes in that apparently Sonic the Hedgehog is now dead, Tails has lost his mind because of that, and Eggman has conquered the world, leaving only a resistance group of fighters coming together, being led by Knuckles, leading them all into war.
God dang, guys, that's quite a shift in tone there. I mean, that's admittedly a lot to take in for a Sonic game. I mean, especially in the first cutscene. Wow. Eee.
Unfortunately, while this premise does sound pretty serious, it's going to be very clear in a few minutes of game time just how the story is very quick to throw every bit of suspension of disbelief out the window. Knuckles introduces your avatar to the group, and after one stage, it's revealed that Sonic is not dead, but over the past 6 months has been imprisoned by Dr. Eggman and has been tortured, apparently, for that amount of time. Yeah. But when you follow up on that scene, with Sonic being in prison, he acts and looks just fine, and makes an escape as if nothing happened. Even more interesting, Tails is also shown to be rebuilding Omega, and even he looks and sounds just fine, with nothing wrong with him at all. What did these people... what the heck? Did the people working on the script and the division working on the cutscene forget to share notes? Nothing adds up here. The narrative is a flat-out lie. Anyway, classic Sonic from Mania out of nowhere shows up to help Tails, as well as the Resistance, but like before, he's a mute. Enjoy that. Modern Sonic and your avatar, the Resistance and Classic Sonic, over the course of a very short story, get back together and ultimately do exactly what you think they're gonna do. They shift the tide of the war in their favor, your avatar finds a way to counter the Phantom Ruby that Infinite is using, giving the team the opening they need to beat him. Shadow shows up and defeats his obvious clone in a cutscene. Sonic defeats Zavok in a shockingly simple fight, as well as Metal Sonic. As for Chaos, well, you might as well just forget that he even exists, because guess what? The game pretty much does that too. No boss fight, nothing.
Whoa, Chaos!
Chaos, ladies and gentlemen. The monster that over the course of Sonic Adventure leveled the entire city of Station Square and murdering thousands is popped like a f***ing bubble. Dr. Eggman uses the Phantom Ruby himself to fight the 3 of our lead players and is quickly defeated. And then suddenly the game just, well, kind of ends with everybody parting ways to live and fight another day, including your avatar, whom I'm sure we're never going to see again. Jesus, man, this story blows. I mean, it starts off with some neat ideas and introduces neat ideas, but it never goes anywhere or pays off. It feels so rushed, and like I said earlier, any suspense buildup for some great character development while this war is happening is quickly thrown aside and never properly explored. As far as the whole campaign goes, I'm willing to bet money you can finish the entire story under 3 hours. The game has 30 stages plus extra bonus stages via download and unlockable with more busy work done, but it certainly sure as hell doesn't feel like it. The continuity makes no damn sense here.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting the comments already. We're talking about continuity in the Sonic the Hedgehog video game. Yeah, I know. It does sound ludicrous and dumb, but believe me, it does exist. I think.
Why is Silver the Hedgehog here? He's supposed to be in the future. That's where he lives. Shadow the Hedgehog shows up later in the story, but where is the gun organization that he and Rouge work for? You know, that police FBI faction that was in Sonic Adventure 2, Shadow's game, Sonic 06. In fact, where are any of the human beings? Over the course of these Sonic games, it's clear our cast is living in a world where humans and anthropomorphic animals coexist, but in Forces, it's nothing but animals. Where is everybody? What's going on? I don't know, because I don't think Sonic Team knows. To make things even worse, Sonic Mania leads right into Sonic Forces, right? Well, yeah, but that really amounts to nothing in the long run. Over the course of the story, it's very easy to forget that classic Sonic even exists in the story at all, because not once do they make that a point of any real significance other than he's just another force to be reckoned with. If anything, the game really highlights the team up with your mute avatar and modern Sonic, and the game reflects that. Classic Sonic just shows up, modern Sonic says, hey, what's up, and then when all is done and over with, they just say see you later, and really, I don't even think he even needed to be here. It's just so bizarre. I was glad that your avatar character wasn't treated like a Mary Sue that was the only one capable of being the hero, but rather an unseasoned warrior who was just willing to do what he could to help. And he does get his moments to shine, but it's only because the plot forced it, and it wasn't anything any one of the other well-established Sonic characters couldn't have done if they were in the same shoes at the time. But still, the fact that he's not treated any better or worse as if he was some prophecy is, well, that's alright in my book. But still, at the end, I doubt it's going to amount to much anyway. The story is your typical Sonic fare. It had moments where it really could have outdone its previous tales, but just joins the rest in terms of mediocrity. Kids will like it okay, and even as a Sonic veteran, I don't hate it. I just know that with the material that they were showing and the suspense that they were building, oh my gosh, it could have been so much better. Still, as long as we stay away from this person and these band-aids, I guess I could say that it could have been a hell of a lot worse as well. Alright. Let's jump into the gameplay, because holy do I have a lot to say about this. Well, let's see, where do we start? Well, true to its word, the formula from Sonic Colors and Generations does make a comeback. The boost is back, classic Sonic has his platform and side-scrolling stages. Oh, we'll get to that, trust me. And your avatar even has his own set of stages that cater to his particular form of gameplay. In fact, I think we should start with him first. The avatar stages are sort of modeled after modern Sonic's, but unlike Sonic, our guy doesn't have a boost. Instead, he comes prepared with a grappling hookshot and a Wispin, a gun that is modeled to use the correct Wisps features that were introduced in Sonic Colors. Honestly, it's not a terrible idea, but the execution is clearly lacking. The grappling hook works when prompted, and that's really all it needs to do. The Wisp gun, however, in between stages as you unlock them, the avatar can switch out to different types of guns that do different things, and work with different Wisps. In battle, the trigger shoots off the attacks that can handle enemies in unique ways, but that's not the problem here. This is. The gun's secondary feature is to use the specific Wisp's abilities to reach different areas in a stage, and only if you can find the correct corresponding Wisp in the stage will you be able to use it for that moment, making it all very situational. I think it would have been much better if they allowed you to have all of the Wisp's abilities, period, and letting me decide when to use them instead of the game signaling me that now would be appropriate. Well, assuming I even brought the right gun to use them at all, otherwise it just doesn't work. Other than this, your avatar stages and modern Sonic's levels play mostly the same. In fact, there will also be select few rounds where you play as both of them simultaneously, using the best of both of their abilities to get through a level. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised at how well that's handled. It's just kind of a shame that it doesn't happen often. Modern Sonic plays as you would expect him to. Not too much has been tweaked from his previous entries as far as I know, but I will say that there are times when Sonic does feel a bit stiff, and trying to get him to turn around in the direction you want can seriously be an endeavor. But the absolute worst thing that really made me miss his homing attack from the adventure games was the auto lock-on feature. I don't know if this is how it always worked, or if it was just messed up with programming over the course of time. But here, Sonic has some serious tunnel vision now when it comes to his homing attacks, meaning if the enemy or boss you want to do a homing attack on is not almost directly in front of Sonic, it isn't happening, and there is no way to force it. It's very luck-based, and while it's not too big an issue on regular enemies, which are usually just boost fodder anyway, the problem comes from trying to hit specific obstacles that will either take you to a different area, or on bosses where it's equally as finicky. Sonic no longer has his rolling ability for tight corners, but seeing as there aren't any, it's not really relevant anyway. Not a big loss. Other than this, modern Sonic plays okay. He's got some issues, but with enough practice, he and your avatar are the most playable stages to play, and they can be pretty fun. Classic Sonic, however, Jesus Christ almighty, what pinhead was working on these stages? I promise you guys, if you immediately go from playing Sonic Mania or any classic Sonic game and jump into Sonic Forces, classic Sonic's gameplay is going to throw you off horrendously and make you feel like an idiot and like you're doing something wrong. Classic Sonic still has the drop dash that was introduced in Sonic Mania, which works fine, but oh my god, what happened to everything else? His speed is gone, his momentum is gone. He jumps like he's on the damn moon, meaning he's very floaty. Classic Sonic is the worst part of the game. Not only does he contribute practically nothing to the plot of the game, but his gameplay feels like no real love and effort was contributed either. I just don't get it. He played so much better in Sonic Generations, this just baffles my mind. Look at this. Watch this right here. This is Sonic Speed in Sonic Mania, going down the chemical plant. Nice, yeah. And here is Sonic Forces. What a joke. Again, I stress, I don't believe these classic stages needed to even be here. And the reason is because I believe the focus of the game is all about your avatar character and collecting a bunch of clothing to customize the character. When you start the game, you have very little options, but as you play through it and repeat play, you will easily unlock more and more and more and more wearable clothing to give your character some originality, as well as boost in his experience points. Apparently, there's some sort of online stuff where you can rent and share your avatar to be used with others online, but I really don't know how well it works or what its true purpose is, and I think there's not much else to do besides playing the same levels anyway. Also, there's some daily bonus stuff, I think, but as of now, it's pretty early to tell what the idea is, assuming it ever gets fully realized. If anything special at all. I don't think so, though. It's not like there's a hub world where you can run around with your avatar and hang out with other OFCs. I mean, really, it's all just about collecting more garments, and it's because of that goal that I think this other travesty has befallen the game. Every level in this game is insanely short. Remember in Sonic Heroes where some levels really overstayed their welcome? This is the exact opposite. We are talking so short that if you were halfway competent at speedrunning through these levels, I would bet money you could clear about 90% of these stages under a minute on your first try. It's crazy, because just when you think the level is really heating up and getting interesting, it's over. Aye. Occasionally, you do get these theatrical moments that do look amazing, but it's really just a QTE moment where if you time a button prompt just right, you get more of a high score, which gets you more garments. Again, that's really all this game is about in the end. And because of the goal being to collect so much junk, I think they purposefully made the levels so short so it wouldn't feel like tedious busy work having to replay stages just to get the stuff that you need. Which to me, in a Sonic game, is the exact opposite of what I wanted. Remember the biggest complaint for Sonic Generations was that the game was too short? Sonic Team clearly didn't listen. I wanted more gameplay, not less!
In conclusion, for what it is, Sonic Forces is not the worst Sonic game that I've ever played. Hell, I wouldn't even qualify it as a bad Sonic game. I mean, it's good. It's just, it's so bare bones and okay and meh that it's hardly worth existing, or at least trying to find a reason that warrants it's worth existing.
The soundtrack as well has some moments where it picks up and makes the levels and situations feel awesome, but it's a little more on the rare side. Here's a couple of samples though from the soundtrack that I thought was pretty good.
Together we can show the world what we can do. You are next to me and I'm next to you. Push me on through until the battle's won. No one's gonna give nothing to us. Into each other we put our trust. Standing united after the fight. All alone we will never meet.
Okay, as it turns out, the soundtrack is actually pretty darn good. In fact, I would say it's definitely worth checking out. Meanwhile, back to the review. Supersonic, to my knowledge, isn't even in the game, which to me eliminates a lot of replay value because, as I might have mentioned in another review, he's the big reward that I like to work toward. The red rings are back, but from what I've gathered, they don't really do anything worth the trouble. The game just really feels like it had too many ideas and didn't have a qualified enough team to decide what should and shouldn't go in, and when to say enough is enough and focus on making something fun and worth playing. The game does have those moments where it is indeed fun and worth it on some levels, but sadly, those levels are too short. The story really falls on its face and is nothing special, and the gimmick, while I'm sure other Sonic fans will absolutely love, it just definitely was not enough to make up for the fact that everything else in the game is a big step down from what started off as a great direction to go in.
And believe me, guys, it's not easy to come up here and just bash on a game or even have to admit that it's mediocre. I don't try to go into these games expecting them to be bad. I want these games to be great. I like playing good games. Why would I not? But Sonic is kind of a deeper wound for me because he's part of my childhood. I want Sonic the Hedgehog to succeed. I really do. He's always been there, Sega Genesis, good times, and it really hasn't been easy being a Sonic fan, I gotta tell you. And Sonic Team, while I'm sure they had given it their damnedest to do the best they could to try to deliver a new Sonic game with new gimmicks and new ideas, at this point in time, guys, I really feel like the crew that's working over there at Sega and Sonic Team, whoever they are, I think they're burnt out or they truly have no sense of direction on where to go with the series because, admittedly, there is such a huge division from the fans to the developers. I mean, do Sonic fans truly know what they want without having to compromise about some things here or somewhere else? And I feel it really has confused Sonic Team, and after all these years of trying and hitting bumps and never truly succeeding, I think it's time for them to kind of throw in the towel. And I'm not talking about give up on Sonic the Hedgehog and make him another failed mascot character. Absolutely not. But I do think that it probably would be a good idea for Sega to look beyond their own in-house team of Sonic Team and maybe seek out other developers to maybe give them a shot at making a Sonic the Hedgehog game, seeing what new ideas could lie beyond their own corporation, and see what else is out there. Give Nintendo a shot. Maybe Nintendo could come up with a great Sonic game. What about Capcom? Who knows? Platinum Games? Could you imagine what a Platinum Sonic the Hedgehog game could probably be like? There's a whole road of potential out there. There are fans on the internet that have dedicated a lot of their time to come up with their own unique Sonic games. I mean, just look at some of the images here and video clips that I'm showing you. These are from fans because they have the heart, and that's innovative. Look at that. Even Christian Whitehead, who started off as a fan, had now become a developer for them and went on to make Sonic Mania, which is a truly great game. So the potential is out there. And in the end, that's really what I think. I think Sonic Team, while they've done their best for many years, I think it's time for them to maybe consider branching off and trying to see if anybody else can help out and give new ideas. The Sonic world is not a hard world to understand. It's pretty basic in the long run, but, well, that's just one man's opinion. But now it's time for me to open up the floor to you guys. What did you think of Sonic Forces? Do you think that it's a game that maybe got a little too critically bashed, or do you think that there is still something in it that's worth keeping an eye on it? Until then, I'm William Morris from thebrotherhoodgaming.com. Thank you so much for viewing if you stayed around. Be sure to hit us up in the comments, check out our Discord page, hit up our Facebook or Twitter and like us and comment and let us know what you want to see in the future. I'm always looking forward to hearing your comments, and we will see you in the next video. Thank you for joining us, and keep on gaming, my friends.